Good morning. We are on our subject of risk conscious operations management of complex engineering system. We have been talking about risk reliability all through these lectures. And of course, we are talking about human factor. And in human factor assessment, cognition plays a role. That is what the present methodology they focus on. But there is a role of consciousness also in human factor or human performance. So, as part of risk conscious term, now in this module, we will see the role of consciousness in RCOM, that is risk conscious operation management, which is the title of this course. And today we will have in this lecture the introduction component. My name is Professor Prabhakar V. Varde, and I am the faculty for this course. I am a guest faculty at Luleå Technology University, and of course, I am CEO of my startup venture, Engineering Risk Assessment and Management. And this course is brought to you by NPTEL, National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning. So, let's go on this course. The outline of this course is like this. The first lecture will be introduction. Let us understand the background introduction about the consciousness, what role it plays into human performance, and then evaluation of consciousness. Actually, this is a rather R&D topic which has got its firm understanding in terms of neuroscience of consciousness, because it means a lot when we talk about the consciousness in neuroscience. We talk about the consciousness when we talk about human performance, but then there is a R&D component because people are trying to understand what is consciousness. Okay, so that we'll see neuroscience of consciousness and how this consciousness field has evolved right since ancient time. And after this, we'll see in lecture number 4 the major scientific approaches. Of course, the item number 3, neuroscience of consciousness, is also scientific, but then it has got its major component in neuroscience. Then we will see that what are the R&D being performed as part of scientific investigation and the state of art in consciousness. And lecture 4 will give part 1 and lecture 5 will give part 2. What we will do in lecture 4 and 5, we will touch upon the advanced methodologies that are being developed, including quantum mechanics approach, and we will see where the present scientific framework has evolved into understanding of the consciousness. So, that is how we have 5 lectures lined up in this course. And let me hint over here, I have 2 books, and in both of my books, one is the very recent one, that is risk conscious operation management, the subject of this lecture, and in this one full topic has been dedicated to, that is chapter number 2 on consciousness. Okay. And before that, one book I had published in 2018, and that was risk based engineering. And in fact, there itself I felt that if I go for talking about human factor, which is a critical component in operation ecosystem or engineering ecosystem in general, and if I do not talk about the present methods and what is required for the new methods, the subject will not be complete. So, in both the books, that is risk conscious operation management and in risk based engineering, I have dedicated what you can say state of the art, my own R&D efforts into the consciousness. So, this topic will be touching upon the R&D component of consciousness, and I think that is very important because I see the research scholar will be taking up this course. that includes MTech, PhD, and higher level research scholars. So let us touch upon the R&D component of state of the art and R&D component of the consciousness. Now, one question we can answer, why consciousness? In fact, whether it is a traditional approach or ancient approach or modern approach, they understand and accept that consciousness is integral component of human existence. Now, beyond human, whether it is all-pervading or it is non-dual, dual, those are a topic of research where the ancient literatures have left lot of hints for us to work on it. And then second thing is, in the traditional human reliability approaches, the awareness, focus, attention, they are being touched upon in human factor modeling, but then there is no direct reference of consciousness, at least to my knowledge. And why it is like this? Because consciousness has a ever an over encompassing thing. Even it might go to the material level, non-material level. So it is very important that directly or explicit consideration of consciousness should be there. And then if we are there in this lecture, we have to we will see through the evolution process that consciousness has been discussed because it is integral to human existence. So this is one of the oldest topic where philosophies were there, where religious science texts were there, and those texts, they give definite direction to us where we want to go ahead in terms of consciousness. The main point is whether consciousness can be investigated through materialistic, traditional physical approaches, or there is something more than that, and that is where the role of quantum mechanics comes. Now, we will talk about all these things, consciousness and human performance. Yes, consciousness affects the human performance. That is where we see that when people enter the plant area, they are in their normal healthy state, and they are not, to make a point, they are not intoxicated, or they are not like rest deprived or sleep deprived, because that affects the body's performance level, and of course action part as well as the cognitive part, both are affected adversely. So consciousness is very important. And then consciousness framework to support the RCOM. Now the question is, it is still in the R&D domain. We are talking about consciousness so confidently that there are methods, especially in healthcare domain. When the patient is operated, he is made some conscious. That means some level of understanding is there, but then for RCOM, that is when we are talking about risk conscious operation management, what we should take from this. And let me assure you right in the beginning of the lecture that there is enough science, enough postulations, we can make a firm basis for our risk conscious operations management. Now, I have discussed all this. Why consciousness? Because it is a human factor. It is a integral part. And especially in the operation domain. Why we are discussing consciousness? Because the present human reliability methods, they are giving results, but compared to the hardware component, their uncertainty associated with those predictions are higher. Because one factor, as I can say, the direct consideration of consciousness, and that is where in my research I have this CQB model. First C is consciousness, second C is cognition, third C is conscience, because we have to do modeling for security related aspects also, like probabilistic security risk assessment we discussed in last week actually. So there is it's a very plays an important role, and then human consciousness is fundamental too. Now even in Western sectors, at least at philosophical level, there is a understanding. We will see some of the quotes from very high stature physicists, scientists, that they directly or indirectly indicate that consciousness is fundamental, and To some extent, there is acceptance that it is all pervading also. So, but then as far as our topic is concerned, we are working at the level of brain, at the level of organization, at the level of national consciousness. So, how it plays out at the bio and how it makes the difference or perception. Even though the state of the art is for human reliability is complex system available, the art along with the partial analysis is vital because there will be some postulations, because everywhere any research, some postulations are there, and those postulations have to be proved. And if we see the new science of consciousness, it has evolved in last I may not be 40 to 50 years. Before that, there was a gap and there was an ancient wisdom, and of course there were some philosophical work on those things. So now let us see the ground reality. The Oxford Dictionary, it gives very simple definition of consciousness: the state of being aware and responsive to one's surrounding, and second, a person's awareness or perception of something. So this is the definition which has been given in the Oxford Dictionary. So of course it serves a purpose for us RCOM this thing, but then the major considerations are that in Vedic philosophy, they are very rich religious Hindu Sanatan books in which there is a huge research component was there on consciousness, and it was considered as fundamental and universal entity. So these are something Vedic stake on this one. And even though while on hand the classical scientific theory might not have research on consciousness, this we are talking about classical era. The modern scientific ecosystem have in last 30 to 40 years or 50 years, I would say, have been actively working on it. I mean, we'll see some selected theory of consciousness from the modern time in this. And now let us see what Max Planck, one of the theoretical physicists, whose assertions are there. I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness. That means where it is placing, that means it is saying all the source, that is non-dual. That means consciousness even is at the root of even material domain. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing postulates consciousness. So this was a claim, and I think this is a huge research dot that research people, they can work on it, and of course everybody is trying to see that also, but then a lot of work has to be done, because it requires coming out of material domain or matter domain to non-matter domain. Okay, and quantum mechanics is one of the big hope actually in this direction. We'll talk about it. So what is the evolution? Let us say from Stone Age era, we had this one. So 3.4 million years ago, and then 5,000 years. See, Mesopotamia, the civilization was there. Then ancient Egypt civilization, and then ancient history was there over there, and then we have this four phases. That is before Christ. The Christ period starts from here. And then we had one of the earliest record of Indian philosophy on Chetana. Chetana is the Sanskrit or Hindi word, and it is Chetana means consciousness. Okay, and then the Vedic books are there. They have a lot of reference on this consciousness, and which is the Sanatanic books. It has been reflected, and the finally what we have is Upanishads. And then later 800 or 800 before or 8th century before Christ, then we had this Adi Shankaracharya, whose verses they talk about the consciousness, its role, its rim, and all that. And then we had a Buddha period, of course, and then origin of Christianity was over here, Christ period, and then origin of Islam, and every culture, it's talked directly or indirectly about consciousness. And then finally we come to the 1700 century, and what we have is mixed science age. That means philosophy was converting or shaking tape. So René Descartes, he had his assertions. We'll see one or two this thing. And then Freud was there, one of the scientists. And then finally we enter the era over here. Probably is for you to see in detail this chart. And then this period of 21st century started, and there was a sudden rush in the research, like Roger Penrose. He one of the Nobel laureate. He, along with Professor Hamras, they researched on consciousness, and I think we are going. David Chalmers, he gave on the hard problem of consciousness. That means there is active support is going on, and to some extent we can see the science has evolved. Why? Because it has understood the role of consciousness. Without that, human description is incomplete. Now, just now I said that there was an era where Vedic culture, and then the one of the saint, Adi Shankaracharya. If you see his verses, they are really life lesson for all of us, because we get some hint about the nature, the role of consciousness, how it is useful in the present era, whether you talk of industrial system or even national ecosystem on consciousness. In fact, we talk a lot about nation's consciousness. We talk about safety consciousness, but safety conscious culture, risk conscious culture. But I think we think it is some sort of a focus, primitive words that we attach to it. But then no, the words are basically the way blood is flowing in our body. The consciousness is driving us. Whatever is are the outcome, our level of work, level of thinking, level of perception, and that's how the consciousness is so important. So Adi Shankaracharya was born 800 years before Christ. So that is where most of the literature comes, and we have this science of consciousness. And this is the galaxy of stars. I will not claim that it is exhaustive, but then prominent researchers, professors and institutes who are working world over on the role of David Chalmers. He is one of the problem who is associated with one of his theory, hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness indirectly it says that it is very difficult to understand its origin, what it makes physical or non-physical. And then Deepak Chopra, who has been an exponent of Indian culture or Indian thought on consciousness. And then we have G. Tononi, who gives integrated information theory, and so on. Whatever some of them will see J. Searle, and then of course Hemroff. He is the companion of Roger Penrose in postulating a theory of consciousness. And then the Adi Shankaracharya, probably I would like to see, he is the initiator of investigating or asserting the role of consciousness. And then one of the person literature paper I came across, Shinjuku, K. Shinjuku. So these are the things, and based on these studies, I have researched on this, and I have developed a model which is called CQB model, which we will discuss as part of the human factors in operations. So there is a dedicated chapter, and we will discuss about this model where consciousness, cognition and conscience, they play out at the level of brain. That means we have found out a good balance of what is existing state of the art, few postulations, and then how this theory can work as a mathematical model for us to estimate the human performance. So that is what the objective was, developing a CQB model, and it is described in both of my books. Okay. And of course, we also talked about it, consciousness and human reliability. In most of the researchers or human reliability models, consciousness has not been considered as a given explicit consideration, and that is something which might have contributed to the higher uncertainty in the this thing. But then even though cognition was considered as a part of like there are called action part and then there are called cognitive part. In cognitive part, yes, cognition has been given, but cognition itself has got a basis, and cognition is not operating in isolation. There is a component of consciousness is required. Consciousness is something akin to what voltage plays a role in electronics. If we want to understand at the simpler level, consciousness plays the role in operating the cognition or deciding the quality of the cognition. So that is where, and then human factor in risk modeling, we know that human factor has been one of the major contributing factors. So that means there is a chain. If we want to do the risk modeling, we want to have a better estimate of human reliability or human performance. And if you want to have human performance, then we should have a good data and good model for estimating the human reliability. So that is how it is working, and it should be as holistic as possible. The human factor model should be holistic in all the senses. So now we understood whatever the you can say definition, working definition, I would say, working definition of consciousness from dictionary, which are authentic sources for, and then what we can perceive as a consciousness playing out at the level of brain, not only at the level of brain, the whole body. Then because the consciousness reflects on performance of body part also. So if it is a performance of body part, then the action part will be coming into the action. So cognition, action, both should come, and consciousness should be seen as driving this performance. And then major factors in consciousness research, we saw the state of the art, that is in last 50 years or 40 years, there is a sudden surge of R&D, research and development, because people are trying to understand, and there is another assertion that if we go by the definition of present physical science method, that means trying to look everything into the material domain, then probably consciousness becomes a challenge actually. But if we have change our lenses, and if we see that material, non-material, we are talking about wave particle theories and all that, I think those things will be also be coming in this lecture, we will discuss it. And role of consciousness in RCM, it is through the human factor that we have here.